Welcome to Backstage Community Forum. This is Scott. I'm back. Today's February 3rd, 2025, which marks the 66th anniversary of the day the music died. And with that, I'm talking about the plane crash of Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valens. This happened on February 3rd, 1959. It was in Clear Lake, Iowa, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, they crashed into a farm field a couple miles away from the Mason City Airport. All of the passengers of the plane, including the pilot, Roger Peterson, was killed instantly.
Hi, everybody. This is Richie Valens. I will be on the Winter Dance Party coming your way very shortly. I will be having a ball singing for you, and I hope to see you all real soon. By the way, hope you have been hearing a lot of my latest Delphi release, La Bamba and Donna.
Hi, gang. This is the Big Bopper, and I'll be on your winter dance party coming your way real soon. We'll be swinging and singing and looking forward to saying hello, baby, to all of you in person.
Hi, this is Buddy Holly. The Crickets and I are really happy to be coming your way on the winter dance party. We certainly hope to see all our old friends and be making some new ones, too. Also, I hope you like my latest choral release, Heartbeat. See you soon.
The Winter Dance Party tour crisscrossed across all of the Midwest, back and forth, up and down, hundreds and hundreds of miles between events. It was 24 consecutive days, 24 events. On the 11th event is when they hit the Surf Ballroom. By that time, they were so worn out that they decided to take up a plane. So they chartered a small plane, and it had a very young pilot, and they hit a snowstorm almost immediately following takeoff, and they crashed right into the ground just a few miles away from the airport, and they were all killed instantly. I guess to set the stage for, what was going on at that point in time. First off, you got to remember it's 1959. There's no interstate highways. You're basically running these 2-lane roads. Plus, they don't have, ways to control the snow. And we're in the Midwest. We're in the Midwest in January. So they don't have a lot of ways to control the snow and the ice. They also made another mistake of where they used decommissioned school buses to bring them around to the different venues. In addition to that, they didn't even have a plan set to go place to place to place. They'd go past, one of their stops, en route to another stop. It was crisscrossing all over the place. I did the math. I went on Google Maps and I kind of, did it using the interstates. But it was over 2,600 miles that they drove in 11 days, which is enormous. Plus, if you don't know the Midwest in January, it's freaking cold. It's colder than you're ever going to understand unless you've been up here.
Cold out that I put on every stitch of clothing that I had with me. It was like 5 shirts, 2 coats, 4 pairs of pants, 2 pairs of boots. You can actually do it. And I went out like this, and it was so cold that I couldn't even breathe. And so it's sort of like looking California is kind of like looking silly, and feeling Minnesota is like feeling bad.
And here you got the Big Boppers from Texas, Buddy Holly's from Lubbock, Texas, and then Richie Valens from the San Fernando Valley in California. How are they even supposed to know what this feels like? I don't know if they were accustomed to the weather or not, but it was kind of doomed from the beginning. They and their band all piled into these decommissioned school buses. Well, actually there was one bus, and then it had a trailer with it, with their instruments. And they didn't have a road crew. They started out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I believe that was January 23rd. Then their second stop was in Kenosha, which was just maybe 45 minutes away. So that's not that big of a deal. I mean, that's not a huge drive. But then the next one was for Mankato, Minnesota. And to drive to Mankato, Minnesota from Kenosha, Wisconsin, you're pretty much going across both states. You're talking hours and hours and hours on a bus that potentially doesn't have heat. It doesn't have, it doesn't work properly. It doesn't have the way to drive in winter. And so it's, they were kind of doomed. Like I said, they were kind of doomed from the start. So that's only the third day. I mean, the third day, third show, and they've already put on, several hundred miles. From there, they crisscross back and forth across the states of Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. They were from Fort Dodge, and then drove up to Duluth, which is middle, kind of lower Iowa, all the way to the highest point in Minnesota, and then over to Green Bay, Wisconsin, before they got to the Surf Ballroom. So they were pretty burned out. Their drummer actually, he got frostbite on his feet, so he had to stop and go to a hospital, and so he was out for the tour. So Buddy Holly was playing drums for Richie Valens. Richie Valens was playing drums for Buddy Holly. The show must go on. They lost their drummer, and they just kept going. I mean, it was 1959. There was so many different things that you didn't have the internet, obviously. You'd have payphones kind of scattered along the way. Plus, gas stations weren't like 24-hour gas stations where you can self-serve, pull up and pump. I mean, this is a big deal. This is a big deal to move across town, and they were doing it 7 days a week. It's amazing to me that they, even made it the 11 days and didn't drop out. They just kept going. One thing that in doing all my research, and I've always been really passionate about this, is realizing how young everybody was. The pilot of the plane was only 21 years old. His name was Roger Peterson, and he was from Iowa, and he was he had been a pilot since he was 17. He just had a problem with the instrument panel, is what they're saying. Also, if you've ever been out in the country, in the middle of the night, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, you can't see anything. Unless you have the moonlight, and it was snowing, so you didn't have the moonlight. You just basically saw flakes of snow in front of you. Buddy Holly was only 22 years old. He accomplished that much by the time he was 22. There's a movie about the guy, which is actually the Buddy Holly story starring Gary Busey is amazing. If you ever get a chance to watch it, check it out. It does talk about the plane crash at the end, but it also tells their story of them coming up. He was recently married. I think he was like 6 months married, and his wife was 2 weeks pregnant. Richie Valens was only 17 years old. That's high school. He had 2 hit songs, La Bamba and Donna, and he was only 17. It was just amazing. And then the Big Bopper, he was only 28. I thought the guy was in his 40s, but no, he was only 28. You can still go to the crash site. It's on private land. It's about 5 miles before you hit Clear Lake. There's you get off, and you can find it on Google Maps if you look up the Buddy Holly crash site. So if you go down there, when you first walk up to it, there's this giant sculpture with these like horn rim glasses, like Buddy Holly used to wear. And then there's a path. It goes about a quarter mile in, and then when you get to the end where the crash site was, there's a sculpture that was made and put there in 1989 by a gentleman from Wisconsin. So I took the kids there. Kiss said it was their last tour, and my kids had never seen Kiss, so I wanted to have them have that experience. So we went down to the Iowa State Fair to get them. I got tickets, and we drove down there, and on our way we decided to walk the path to go see the crash site of Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and the Big Bopper. And it was pretty surreal as you're walking it, and you just kind of realize how kind of out in the middle of nowhere you are. The Surf Ballroom is just like 5 miles up, and that is still there. That is the last place that they played on the tour, and it's still pretty historically accurate. They have kept the majority of the ballroom the same way it was. They've done enhancements, obviously. If you go into the dressing room, it's completely littered on the walls with people's autographs and signatures and pictures and little sayings and stuff like that, all done with Sharpie marker. They played 11 of the dates across the Midwest. Like I said, put on like 2,700 miles on these school buses. And when I say buses, these things would break down. And you're talking, 2 in the morning in the middle of nowhere. And these things are breaking down and they got to get a new bus. So they went through 5 buses in the first 11 days of the tour. They were on their 5th bus, being completely frozen and burned out and feeling disgusting after 11 days on these frozen roads in this crummy vehicle. I mean, Buddy Holly said it was the tour from hell. And so he decided to charter a plane. It was from the Mason City Airport, which is just a few miles away from Clear Lake, where the Surf Ballroom is. He had to pick who was going to go on the plane with him because it was only a 4-seater plane. I guess the Big Bopper had the flu or something like that, and Waylon Jennings gave him his spot. You might know the name Waylon Jennings. He was a huge performer for a lot of years. Waylon Jennings and Buddy Holly were extremely close friends, and they liked to give each other a hard time. And so when Buddy found out that Waylon had given up his seat to the Big Bopper, he looks at him and he goes, "Hey man, I hope your bus freezes up." And Waylon looked at him and said, "Yeah, well, I hope your plane crashes."
Waylon Jennings said goodbye. He and Buddy shared a parting joke.
He said, "Well, I hope your bus freezes up again." And a kid, I said, "Well, I hope your plane crashes, And man, I had to live with that for years.
Roger Peterson, the 21-year-old pilot, was, checking the weather constantly because it was like one of those weird, is there going to be a snowstorm? Is there not going to be a snowstorm? And, flying at night is different than flying during the day. Got a different instrument panel than I'm used to. So he wanted to make sure that the weather was going to be okay and he was going to be able to see the stars and see the horizon. Unfortunately, there was a couple of weather alerts that he did not get notified of. He actually radioed in at 12:40 and asked if there was any, emergency weather updates. One had come in 25 minutes earlier, but they didn't tell him about it. If you drive fast in a snowstorm, all you can see is snow. Yeah, I mean, you got to go slow. And they're going like 170 miles an hour in this little, tiny plane. Unfortunately, that's the end of the story for them. They crashed and the performers were all thrown from the plane. But Roger Peterson, the pilot, was still in the compartment of the plane. What a waste. So much music left on the table by those guys. It's just, especially when you realize their age. Buddy Holly was 22 years old. And since it's been 66 years, he would be 88 right now, and he'd probably still be performing. I was glad that I got to take my family there. If you ever get down there, just go ahead and make sure that you walk the path and go see the crash site and pay your respects. And if you get a chance, go see the Surf Ballroom. It's got a museum in there, and it's just, it's amazing. It's been 66 years, so, raise one up for Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, and the pilot, Roger Peterson. It's nice to be back. By the way, the music that's playing in the background, my son's girlfriend, Anna, was over, and she is a very good guitar player. And so, but she said that she had to go. And so I was like, hey, can you quickly learn, the day the music died and just start playing it, and I'll record it real quick so I can have this as background music? And she's like, sure, because that's the kind of musician she is. And so what you're hearing is her learning it, because I just grabbed a microphone and just started recording, because she only had one opportunity. So she heard the song. She didn't even hear the song before she started trying to play it. So that's what you hear, is her trying to play it. Well, this has been Backstage Community Forum. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm look to see me back more with videos coming up. I have lost my my videographer for a while. Unfortunately, my poor wife, Tay, has to have another neck surgery at the end of this month, and so she's going to be down for quite a while. It was great to have her back. She did a great job with the Kiss Days video. But I'll be coming back to you with more interviews and a couple of new series. And I'm very excited this year to kick this off and get going again. So this is Scott H. from Backstage Community Forum. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Oh, make sure that you subscribe, like, and hit that bell icon so you get alerted every time that there's videos. And you know what? You should subscribe. Why don't people subscribe when they see good videos that they like? If you don't like the video, that's fine. But if you like the video, hit the subscribe button. What can it do? You're going to find out every time that the videos come up for these people. So there you go.